New information tonight on the Office of Hawaiian Affairs' push to limit U.S. military training in Hawaii. Among several new developments today, the governor named OHA's interim administrator, Summer Silva, to his advisory committee for military leased lands. OHA's trustees also voted today to oppose rapid negotiations, which the governor is pushing after learning the Army is considering land condemnation to continue training in Hawaii. OHA says the Army's goal to wrap up negotiations by the end of this year would violate state laws and cut out public participation. And the agency has also set up a webpage on OHA.org to inform the public and help organize opposition.
It is the same tired tactic colonizers have used for generations. Recycled, repackaged, but always with the same intent: to divide us, to pressure us, to push us towards surrendering what is sacred.
The trustees today also voted to propose a state constitutional amendment to ban live fire training on former Hawaiian Crown lands. And finally, OHA is planning public meetings on the lease issue starting the night of Wednesday, November 26th at UH Hilo.